Hello, mighty seniors. I am back with my lesson 1 for the second semester. Oh my god, it's been a long time. And I am back with an action research primer I entitled The Mind with Hands. I know. Don't mention it. Okay, so this is just a primer, meaning I'll just discuss a very brief background and some mechanisms that you have to know about action research in general. Now, action research, well, I chose to define it using words that do not define it. So, action research is not a library project where we study about things that interest us. It is not that. Also, action research is not about learning why we do certain things. It is not about that. And lastly, action research is not a problem solving where we try to find out what is wrong. So you tell me, what is action research then? I'll tell you later, don't worry. So let us first have the development of action inquiry process. This is the evolution of the term action research throughout the years. Yeah. So it was called transformational learning in 1999, action evaluation also in 1999 by Rothman, soft systems methodology in 1998, deliberative practice in 1988. It was also called appreciative inquiry in 1987, action design in 1985, experiential learning in 1984, participatory action research in 1983. By the way, this is also used. This is a term used in some papers as well. This is also acceptable. Participatory action research. Reflective practice in 1983. Action learning in 1971. But the recorded founder and the father of action research is no other than Kurt Lewin in 1946. Now, how did Kurt Lewin put it? He said that action research is composed of action, which comprises of change, and research, which means investigation. Hence, action research is investigating a problem or situation in order to make change happen. So that is action research in general. You investigate a problem and the main aim is to make change happen. Okay? Now, the mechanism of action research is as simple as 1, 2, 3. First, identify the problem. Second, think of an accurate solution, a tangible solution. What changes can you make? And lastly, evaluate if the solution works. Now, the underlying problem of the third one is how will you evaluate if the solution works, and what will happen if the solution that you have initially thought of doesn't make any change. So that is the rationale of the action research cycle made by Hollingsworth in 2001 to 2005. Well, as you can notice here, obviously, this is a cycle, and so it follows an iterative process, an iterative and a reiterative process. Well, we assume that the start of everything is the identification of the problem and why it is occurring. And by the way, action research, since it follows the tangibility and accuracy of a problem and a solution, okay, this should come from an existing community. Okay, so this is community based, and so there is a need for you to identify what's been happening in the community, what's the problem, and why do you think it's occurring, who or what is the problem really. And so the next step is to create an action plan. Now, of course, since you have actually planned your course of action, immediately you enact it. Immediately. And then, once you have enacted the action plan, you study, reflect on plan in action, and then you collect data or evidence. Next, you report the findings, surprises, and seek feedback. Yes. And then you modify the plan if needed. So earlier, I told you what happens if the action plan or the course of action doesn't work initially. You modify the plan if needed, and then continue the cycle with a revised problem. Because, well, if the solution that you have initially thought of doesn't make changes, so you now have a revised problem, which is the actual problem and why the initial plan actually didn't work. So that is the revised problem that we're thinking about. And so you have identified a new problem and you create another action plan, and so on and so forth. So that is action research cycle. So the notion that negative result is still a result just doesn't work for action research. There must be a change. Again, investigation and change should be married together, and there must be change in the actual problem. So if nothing changes, you repeat it. Definitely, that's how Hollingsworth had put it in her action research cycle. Now, this is presumably the stage that we are actually on right now, right? Because the assumption is you have already identified the problem and why it is occurring. So what happens during the planning of your actual action plan? Investigate what others say about your concern and listen to their alternative suggestions. And our favorite, Chapter 2, explore professional literature that may have a similar problem. When we speak of investigate what others say about your concern, meaning it could be interviewing other people with similar problems, okay? Or if a particular barangay or community has been suffering from the same problem, you may want to interview them what intervention they have implemented so far and see what you can gather from there. So, again, this is just a primer, and this is lesson 1, an action research primer entitled The Mind with Hands. See you again into a deeper conversation about AR. Thank you.